two streams. Life happens. That's it. Don't have to say anything much more. But we are back for probably one of the most important run of the season. This is like in T20 game, the last 5 overs, you have to score 100 runs. So it's that that's that part of the game week or that part of the season wherein you go big or go home and you just enjoy and play well. So that's what I think is going to happen for the next few weeks. What do you think, Sample?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the end of the season, football itself is interesting. Looking forward to the title run, right? Three teams fighting it out, and especially a very critical game this game week. But on top of that, FPL wise, we have a new game format now. The third game format has finally been launched. Something I think all of us were guessing, right? It will be something around the tunes of free hit every week, and that's what they've come up with. It's a new format every week and seems fun. We'll discuss a bit more during the podcast, of course. But I think especially for people who are having a bad season or have reached a point where they're giving up on their teams, it's something different to look forward to, right? So with that, I'm also looking forward to the new format that they have come up with.
Yes, I mean, as you rightly said, we did get few information about this particular at the start of the season that we might be expecting something new, but they've launched it, but they still call it as a beta version, not completely what they look, what they wanted. But anyways, we'll talk more on that a little bit later. Let's look at what we're going to discuss today. And a lot of rumblings going here and there. We'll start as usual. We're looking at the transfer trends, the players that have been shipped in and out. We look at this new mode called Fantasy Challenge. We look at Game Week 30 in brief, chip strategies, basically planning around for the next couple of weeks. Feed Wildcard 30, I have done a draft and we'll look at the next sort of 9 game weeks that are left. Obviously, captaincy for a brief we'll discuss along with our bus teams. But before we go on to that, let's discuss about how we are performing in terms of in FPL, in terms of where we are ranked at the moment, because so that people who join us, will also be aware that we are also not that great. But the last 9 weeks, a lot of interesting things can happen. We've seen a lot of good things happen over the past few seasons, wherein KDB captain and all in a double game, we changed fortunes. Last season also we had Wilson and Isaac. It kind of split this season, kind of cost a lot for managers who went the other way. So 9 weeks, important 9 weeks, wherein you can either enjoy and finish well, or it may not go as planned.
Yeah. So how are you doing, Aditya? I know you soared off very far away from me sometime back. I lost track now. Where have we reached finally?
Yeah. So I'm currently about 330K odd.
That's good. From where you
That's
were especially, right?
I think both of us roughly had about a 10 point gap, and then it kind of started to increase up a bit. And if I look at our league, I can see that you are currently about 1619 overall points. I'm on 1713, close to about 100 point gap. But the season is quite funny. But let's see where I can finish
So you
at
were
the.
around 4 million rank at some point of time, right? I think maybe around game week 15, 16, 14, right? If you look
So
at
if I
this.
see my overall rank quickly, I was
Yeah.
four. I was game week 11. I was 3.5 mil around that point.
Okay. Okay.
But post game week 18 is where I started to move up, and
Really,
it's coming
really
in
do
pretty
well.
decent.
Perfect.
It
Perfect. That
just
sounds
worked
good.
out.
Uh, if I look at mine, and in fact, while I've kind of given up on my team, I think I'm fairly happy with how things have gone because game week 13, I was around 5.8 million, I, extremely disastrous, and game week 29, 16 weeks on, I am currently at 1.4 million, right? So I have like 25% of my that rank. So I think it's been a good rise. What I do not like, and I've been just speaking to some of my friends, I was telling them, generally I take a lot of differential captaincy decisions, and some of them do come out really well. And that's generally the reason for my solid rise in ranks. But this season, I've played completely traditional captaincy wise because at some point of time I thought, hey, it's not working. Let me just keep going traditional. So I've been that Haaland boring captain, or someone everyone else is going on jumping on. But the squad for me has been fairly differential, and somehow that's worked. But the speed of rise obviously will be less compared to someone like you who was like really soda from where you were.
I don't know where it kind of changed, but for me to quickly go and look where it changed was probably game week 18. Why it was game week 18 was probably I think couple of players. It was Tom Solanke. So we had a time wherein I think that was the time when Haaland got injured and people rushed to get in Solanke and all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the only point. Anyways, enough of that. Let's look at the transfer trends and then we'll just get in this little bit in the middle. So these are the current trends at the moment. It's probably last few hours back, I had just taken this screen grab from the website.
yeah,
And we can see people transferring in Salah, Palmer, Muniz, Son, and Gusto. A lot of these names are either wildcard names or people just kind of getting players to fit for the next few weeks.
yeah. Yeah, it feels like wildcard names because to get in Salah is not easy at all, right? And you have both Salah and Son being a popular transfer, in, right? So it feels like people are using the wildcard to rejig the squad and move into the next 8 9 weeks, right? Right. We'll anyways discuss wildcard in detail a bit later.
Okay. And transfer outs are pretty much self explanatory. I mean, KDB, Powell, Doty, Morris, and Saka. Some players don't make sense, but the rest, I mean, except one or two, the other players are totally fine.
Yeah,
And
I'm surprised to see Doughty being sold so much because I thought he's done a fairly decent job, right? But at the same time, if it's wild card, you go crazy, right?
I think I'm even looking to ship him out this week. So we'll talk on that a little bit once we get close to chip strategy and all.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, now we come to this. That is fantasy challenge, FPL challenge. That is FPL challenge, fantasy challenge, whatever you want to call it. What do you think of this mode? I mean, I was looking forward it to being a bit better, but the rules are a bit not that great, and there are a lot of loopholes, which is very disappointing. They didn't need to rush and get something out like this, and it
yeah.
doesn't make sense.
It seems there's a reason they have called it a beta mode. I think they know exactly why they've called it a beta mode. Right? They just want to play around with something, see how people react before making a full-fledged decision. Right? So it seems that's the way they have gone in. They want to try it out, put in different stuff, see what people react to, and maybe use the metrics of what works for managers as an input to a different kind of format going into the next season. Right. So I'm looking at it as a half-baked product, like you pointed out. It's not something which is well thought out, and I think they are well aware of that. But they're using it as some sort of mechanism. Let's be honest, I don't think the people who are managing the game are as interested into the game as most of the FPL managers are, and it's something that we have seen over the last 1 decade at least, right? The popularity has showed without any sort of administrative or management involvement, but last season we saw them coming out and saying, hey, we want to change it, right? And they need to interact more, they need to see, study how, what works, what doesn't work, and they're experimenting now, which I'm okay with. I would rather have them experimenting than like they were doing last few decades, last few years, they're just sitting back and not even paying attention to the game. So this is for me better, and like I said, something to look forward to, for people who at least don't have FPL at the top of the agenda anymore.
I mean, this mode is perfectly fine having like a new squad every week from scratch. But some of the rules are like not that proper in terms of subs. I think once the player is locked in, you can't sub him out from the. You can't mix subs. Is one thing. Then there's this loophole wherein you just start with injured players
Yeah.
in your starting 11 and then keep all the playing, the good players on the bench. And if they play well, you just sub them on. And they'll auto
Mm.
sub. And if they don't, you transfer out the injured players because they don't play. So I mean, that's like one thing. And I mean, it's okay. It kind of makes sense to some point, but these
Yeah,
loopholes need to be fixed. And overall, I feel that the main game itself, the point scoring has to be improved a lot. They need to differentiate few things there and see where the other fantasy games, like I think, let's say the World Cup or Champions League, how they have this point scoring system and emphasize on variety of players instead of just the forward attackers, midfielders and all, rather than giving points to other players as well, even like CDMs and all. But I mean, that's a broader picture for next season. But I mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's it.
True.
I don't have anything else. But let's see how this goes. I think people are going to find loopholes more and more as we go through.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
these are some
definitely.
of the things. They are just up on Twitter everywhere. And I think there's even one article in all about FPL's blog where they've posted in small section about the
Hmm.
loophole thing. So if you want, you can read it.
Hmm. True, true.
Okay, let's look at our drafts for this. So this is your team, and you can just read it out. And no need to justify, but
Yeah, it's just a fun draft, right? So I've tried to pick as many home players I can. So Villa at home, I have gone heavy on Villa. So I have Martinez at goalkeeping, Dine as a defender, and Watkins as a forward. In fact, other defenders for me are Pedro Porro and Castagne. Castagne is my fun pick. He's playing Sheffield away. I thought, why not go there? I know Gusto is a very, very popular choice, so I thought, just play differential. I have Sun and Salah because there's no money, dependency. Why not? Palmer at home against Burnley made sense, especially because he's on pens. One more differential, I went for a double Liverpool attack, so I went Luis Diaz. I was thinking if I get some more solid Jota news, maybe I'll go Jota, but I don't think he's that fit. Right, Darwin Nunes is available, but I thought let me go Solanke and Isak. Both of them have home games and looks good on paper. Right, on bench I have Van Dijk, Sar. Both of them have home games, and I've kept Saka on third bench primarily just I because I wanted to keep Saka. Right, I'm Arsenal fan. Why not?
I mean, you this mode is just basically you play the way you want and you pick the players you want at the
Exactly,
end of the day.
exactly right. Yeah,
Okay, so here's my team. Pretty much, I think, sort of templatey here and there. We have Petrovic in goal, Pedro Porro, Gusto, and Robinson, Son, Salah, Palmer, and Madison. And I've gone with Haaland, Solanke, and Watkins. I think uh, the City Arsenal game will be good, and I expect goals in that game. So, I mean, you shouldn't overlook too much the fact that it's a big game, so I will not have players from them. I mean, sometimes we have seen very weird returns from big games as well. We've
yeah,
seen
true.
double-digit hauls and decent returns as well. So that's basically my thinking. Uh, that's it. We get done with this new mode. We'll see what happens next week. I think it's forwards, double points, and game week 32 is basically I think United and Liverpool players will get double points. So that's the two challenges we've got so far. But we don't know what's going to happen until game week 38. But there might be celebrity challenges, and all. I just saw like some teaser from them. So I don't know. Let's see. Post that what happens, and now we'll move on to our core agenda back. Let's look at game week 13 a little bit in brief, and then we'll look at the next few game weeks. It's chip strategy as well. Okay, I think probably one of the most important game of the season is City Arsenal, no doubt. It's a defining game for the season,
Yeah,
and
almost.
a lot of almost. And we have a lot of other games wherein teams are fighting for points, 6 pointers as well. So, anything you want to talk about these fixtures?
Fixture wise, I think because Wildcard has now started, Wildcard 2 is now in play, right? It just makes sense for us to start looking at other teams now, right? So there's this growing theory always that if you can differentiate, if you can go away from the crowd, right, you are going to get points. And so I've seen a lot of people sell those Liverpool, Arsenal players and try to go crazy, saying that 3 weeks later I'll perhaps come back by 34. But that's the risk, right? A risk of going for a lesser team player against a bigger team player, even if they're in tough games. But I think all eyes will be on how Chelsea Burnley go, because I think Chelsea assets have become more popular during this wildcard chip, right? A lot of us have started to hold Spurs guys again. You know, people have Sun for sure. There are people with Poro. There's someone who's with triple having Richarlison, right? So these are some of the games we need to look at. Uh, I'm interested to see how Villa Wolves play out, because I really want to see, is there another Watkins Hall that we're missing out by not captaining him? And then you have two big games, three big games. I think the Sunday games are really going to be tricky. United away to Brentford was not a great experience for you guys last season, but I think things have changed a lot. Brentford don't look that solid to me anymore, so I think it will be better. But at the same time, Liverpool at home to Brighton, it will be a must win. Generally, Brighton do well against Liverpool, even at Anfield, but they don't look, Brighton doesn't look the same Brighton anymore, right? So away, I feel like Liverpool will dominate. It's just that will Salah come back and become FPL force again, right? And then it's City Arsenal. That is purely something I'm looking forward, purely as a footballing reasons, right? As an Arsenal fan, I don't know, I'll sweat a lot that day, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good week of football, and to be honest, I was missing Premier League.
I wouldn't really say. I think it was a much needed break away from Premier League, and we got the IPL as well going on, so that kind of just overlapped and just helped us ease out a bit. But yeah, as you rightly said, I think the two games on Sunday, I mean, it's an early morning game for us, Brentford Man United, but technically it's a Saturday night. So I think arguably two important games are Liverpool, Brighton, and Man City and Arsenal, because two games we have three title contenders playing. So a lot of important points at stake for all the three teams. We'll see how it pans out. But other than that, I think we have games wherein FPL managers could target, like you have Bournemouth Everton, wherein Solanke owners will be hoping for some haul as well. Chelsea Burnley will have people going for Gusto, Palmer, Petrovic. Forest and Palace, I think people are going for Munoz, and they're looking at, I think, SA as well. And Sheffield Fulham, I think Mooney's people are looking at him, but they're playing away from home Fulham. Spurs Luton, again an important game for Spurs, and most managers have double Spurs assets, so pretty much like everybody's hoping for a haul there. And Villa Wolves again, Watkins, Bailey, and managers that have these two players. So I mean, yeah, Game Week 30 looks like a good week for those who have some of these players. I think you can just get away. But only thing is that you will be scared of not having Salah to some extent. But I think this week you can just kind of hide behind the sofa and just get away with it.
What's your current take on wildcard? When do you want to use it for your own team?
So my team at the moment is in a good shape for 30. So I still have my free hit. I didn't free hit in 29. I just played with like 7 players and I got 16 points. So I was like, it's okay, fine. Pretty much free teams and barely touched 20-25 points. So
True.
like, it's not a big difference. But yeah, so my plan is sort of based. See, basically, it's team dependent based on how many players you have and how well the fixtures are there for these players for the next couple of weeks defines whether you want to wildcard or not. But in my case, it is wildcard 35, bench boost 37, and free hit 34 is where I stand based on how my team is at the moment. And I don't have Salah, so I'm not that worried. But next week I'll get Salah, so I will do one transfer this week, get few funds out, and make sure that I get in Salah next week. But it's fine for me.
I don't have Salah, and I'm really worried it might hurt me a bit. But the idea for me is, it was without wildcard I can get either Son or Salah, and I just went with Son because he was back earlier, right? And the fixtures look good there as well. I'm generally a wildcard plus bench boost guy. Right, so that's my style. I'm not going to change that. 34 looks like a good week to bench boost, so 33 is my default wildcard, and that's my thought. And I just need to survive the next 3 weeks.
I think 34. The issues that we have these FA Cup games and some teams also play European, right? I think we just have few of the teams playing. So I think in my case it is the long. Obviously, this game is more of information based, and the more information you get is better. You're obviously able to make decisions. And 30 and 31 is just purely if you get more info, you can wildcard in 31. But some teams or some managers plan their teams in such a way that they would dead end in
Yeah,
29 and then wildcard in 30. So we have
yeah,
seen a couple of managers do that. And that makes sense. It's basically you play your game and based how your team shape is you decide. I
yeah.
think it's purely team dependent. Okay, we're done with game week 30. Now, since we were talking about chip strategy, we'll look at Game week 30 goals and clean sheets odds. We'll just look at this rough briefly. I mean, you can see a couple of, I mean, obviously you can see Chelsea, Liverpool, and Tottenham, and Newcastle to some extent are expected to score more goals. And the odds of clean sheets, we can see only Chelsea having the highest along with Spurs. And we have sort of a tie between Fulham, Villa, Liverpool to some extent, and Forest. What a surprise. But I think, yeah, I think these are pretty much self explanatory. I mean, that's where people and managers are targeting players from these sides. So,
Yeah, that Tottenham bit is why I think everyone is. I think Son will be the most popular differential captain this week, right? But Tottenham and Liverpool, I think these are the two teams which are already standing out for this game week purely from a goal scoring point of view. Villa at home is interesting. Every time I go Watkins differential captain, it just doesn't work out for me for some reason. He gives assists, he'll never score. And when I don't, he scores hat trick in these kind of games. So I'm just happy to have him. I wish I was going there. I'm happy to have him. But Chelsea 2.5 is interesting. I have moved to a 3-4-3 format, so I don't have Palmer anymore. But I think there are goals there, and there's a lot of involvement that Palmer will have. Right, very interesting season for him FPL wise. I love to see what his price will be next season. It might even be 7.5.
well, I'm guessing typical FPL, they will give him 8, 8.5. They will do that. And, okay. So, I just forgot this slide was there in between. But now let's look at who doubles when. Basically, that's we're going to talk about chip strategy at the moment now. So this is from all about FPL as well. We can see that there are like sort of 7 teams that are going to double in 34. That's Arsenal, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Wolves, Sheffield, Palace, and Everton. In my case, I have just forgotten 34 at the moment because I'm going to free hit.
Awesome.
And I'm just looking at 30, 31, 32, 33. That's it. 34 is free hit. 35, I'm going to wildcard. 37 bench boost. I'm not looking at the later half of the season at all. I'm just looking to play these next 4 weeks. But those who are wildcarding now or those who don't have a free hit, they have to play their teams in such a way that they somehow get a good team for 34, get good amount of players for 37 if they want to bench boost them. So this then makes sense.
Yeah.
And we can see Spurs and Chelsea. So Spurs blank in 34, Spurs Chelsea could double in 35, 36, and as well as in 37. And we have the remaining teams that uh, double in 37. Those are these, and I'll just move on to the next. This is like a fiction ticker. It's pretty much this is also the same. So it's the same whatever I said. Same image again.
Yeah, I think where we are heading is as if especially if you don't have free hit, you have to choose between 34 and 37. Where do you want to go, right? Ideally, my thought is let me go heavy on 34, and 37. I just have to choose the kind of teams I want to attack. Right? So there the teams who are doubling. Ideally, City is someone you need to have, but then always remember it's Pep. Pep screws up your double game week plans for sure, right? You have to see where United are then, where Brighton are then, right? And pick and choose maybe one team where you want to go in, right? Or maybe Chelsea, right? So if they are doing well, right? So My thought currently is, go heavy 34, right? City is there playing against away to Brighton. I think you can comfortably hold on to your Haaland or a Foden, right, and play it out, and you will get a double game week there. It's just that one team that you have to sacrifice in from 34 to get that one additional team in 37. That's my thought currently, right? But it will be interesting if there are people who are free hitting 37, because I do remember a couple of seasons back we had such a odd 37 doubles, and we had Everton doubling and I think Leicester doubling. And I remember there were massive hauls for Richarlison, for Madison, right? And people who did a free hit actually gained a lot from it. So you never know.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, that's what it's basically how many chips you have at the moment is going to dictate how you're going to play.
Right.
So, if you're in the wildcard game week 34 is still fine. If you're in the wildcard 35 is okay. 34 free hit. Some people might even free hit in 37 also. You're going to see a lot of different things because I don't want to play the same way, right? As the last few weeks of the season, and you might as well, as I said, go big or go home. So do that. So there is one interesting thing here I saw Ben put out there. Chelsea Dortmund could move to 36 and also 35 or 37, which would give them triple game week. I don't see that happening. It was a
And
very rare case of Man United doing a triple game week, but
I
don't
don't
think
see
that
it
might happen.
happening. If it happens, I'm willing to take this -4, -8 to load myself in with some of these players. Especially if you look at game week 38, Chelsea have Bournemouth at home, so you can go triple Chelsea happily. And if you look at Spurs, Spurs have Sheffield away again, right? So if indeed that happens, just load your team. Take all those -4, -8. It's -16. It's worth it for a triple game week. But as of now, I think it will be good if it comes on 36. Then you have a flow, right? You can use 36 as the week to take your hits and bring those players in for 3 weeks and 3 matches in 2 weeks. But if it comes in 35 and then you have one blank and then one single week and then again another double, then you can plan it out and phase yourself in.
I think the only advantage for managers who are wildcarding now is that they'll be able to get Salah without a hit,
Okay.
and then they can plan their moves in such a way that they get 15 doublers for 37. But the issue is that 30 game week 37 is very it's not that close, it's quite far. And things could change, the title race could change, injuries and all that's what everybody's been speaking. So the pros and cons for both the ways you think, but at the end of the said it's team dependent. It's how well your team is shaped at the moment you're going to use the chip. But I think that's what even LR was saying in the wire pod, and you need to be flexible and adaptable. So you need to make the call based on that, based on how the fixtures and all dictate. Okay, enough of this fixture ticker because this has been floating around a lot for the last few days. The same kind of uh, thing has been grinded again and again. We just don't want to grind it the same. I think people at this point will be bored of us just repeating the same. We'll go to the next thing. That's this which players bracket. This was a nice image that was put up by FPL Architect, and he just categorized everything here straight away, so that we don't need to spend much of the time. But nicely, it's been categorized with the players you need to pick for game week 30 in your wildcard teams. So, anything you would like to add, or I think these are all temporary names, more or less.
I think budget is where the play is, for you to differentiate, right? Be it defenders, people going for Itnuri, people going for Gusto, or in the bench on the midfield you have Palmer or Gordon. People are going Garnacho as well, which is now getting interesting because I think he's playing well. And then you have likes of Muniz. Muniz, I think, turned out really well last week, so you never know, right? So that's where the play is. Mid-priced is something, I don't know. So a lot of people have Foden. Maybe you swap them for Madison, for Richarlison. right? Do you leave out your Solankes for a Isaac, for a Darwin, right? So taking those small calls, which as of now looks fairly similar in nature, but maybe you just go big. But I think the biggest one is Salah, right? So what today you get is you go Salah, and Salah I think has two massive fixtures. Right? Next week they have Sheffield home, and then I think game week 33. I think there's another strong
Yeah,
fixture, right? So yeah, Sheffield at home and then Palace at home, right? So these are the two massive fixtures, and United are with generally Salah scores, right? So you never know, right?
that might be
So
their revenge game for losing their FA Cup.
yeah, for I think for draw and for drawing at home as well, right? So they lost points to you guys at home, so you never know, right? So I think the wild card is centered around getting Salah and hoping the next four he explodes in a way that he kills us one.
Okay. I mean, yeah, as you rightly said, there are few players or few spots wherein it's a 50-50 coin toss between few players, like you said. It's the front line is very easy, right? It's Haaland is one slot is gone,
Yeah.
and then you have two slots left to fill if you're going to play 3-4-3. You have Isaac, you have Solanke, you have Darwin, and you have Jackson as well. If to some extent, if you want to differentiate, so there is one tight spot. And then in the midfield as well, do you go with Son or you go with Richarlison to cut cost here and there? Go with Poro or you go with Udogi, or here and there are like minor 50-50s. You go with Garnacho, Palmer, or Gordon for one of the fifth midfield slot or the fourth midfield slot based on this. You go Foden or Foden less. So that's pretty much it, I think. If you figure these out, then you'll get your team. And this is the draft that I created for Game Week 30 wildcard. And I think this might be pretty templatey. But what do you think of this? This is based on the funds that I had, and I think by doing this, I have zero.
Yeah, I mean, tick off all the right pieces, right? Saka, Salasan, Haaland, Nunes, Solanke, and back you have to go light, obviously, to help it out. And there are a couple of strong differences, like we're talking about. And Garnacho is there to support in case someone misses out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get Gordon, so I went Garnacho and basically Branthwaite and all. I mean, Everton fixtures are not that bad, so that's why when people are looking at Pickford, but Petrovic on a rotation makes sense, but Chelsea defensively are not that great. United to some extent are okay, but not consistent, so that's the problem. And you don't have Poro, you have Udogi. A few things, as I said, right, based on the funds that I had to make this call, and this is the draft I could come up with. Pretty much similar. I mean, you can go with Isaac instead of Solanke, and you could get uh, Gordon instead of Garnacho. Here and there, 50-50 calls down with the goalie and upgrade it here and there, and that's it.
Perfect.
Okay, I think we're done with Game Week 30 wildcard at this point. Let's look at the fixture swing that we have, and this is kind of important in terms of how you're going to plan for the next 4 weeks if you're going to free hit in Game Week 34. So that's in my case. That's why I'm very much looking forward to this this one. So I don't have Salah. That's one thing. So Game Week 30, I have to hide. But the remaining, I mean, teams have good fixtures, as that's what we're saying, and that's what I think people are going to load up on. But the only thing we're going to see Game Week 30 wildcard is that they may go without Watkins for this week. So that's the only worry for them. But overall, I think those who have Watkins will ship him out to get Salah next week. That's the only way it's going to happen. So it's just 1 week of hiding behind the sofa for those who sell Watkins.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? So, for example, Watkins versus Nunes, right? So, this week you love Watkins. Next week, Nunes has Sheffield home. Watkins has City away, which is screwed up. Then you have Nunes has United away, which I think for Nunes is tricky. And again, Watkins has Brentford home, which is superb. Then Nunes has Palace home, Watkins has Arsenal away, and then Nunes obviously has a double fixture, but both away, while Watkins has Bournemouth home. So it's very very close, right? You can take a choice thinking, hey, this is foolproof. For example, Liverpool have that extra fixture, but you never know. Watkins might continue to be the guy that he has been entire season. How do you sell him?
That's the thing. I mean, these fixture swings. I mean, though, if you're going to wildcard, you're going to target
You
these
have,
teams.
yeah, makes sense.
That's pretty much what we're going to have. I think West Ham 32, 33, 34 are not that bad, but again, if you're going to free it in 34, you're just not going to look at them at this point. Okay, pretty much in brief, we covered this, and I think we're done with this. Let's look at our past teams at the moment. So, this is your team.
Yeah, a lot of yellow flags there. What is the news on Maguire? I have not seen United presser. Is he playing? Is he okay to play by any
I
chance?
think he'll have a fitness test, so if he passes, I think he may start. I'm not sure, but even Martinez has a fitness test as well.
Okay,
So,
okay.
we might see Varane and Martinez play. So, why not?
Okay, so he has been my fodder pick for some time, and I'm hoping to run with him till the till the wild card. But the defense is very, very cheap so far. So it's Gabriel going City away, and I'm just going with it. I'm hoping that he plays. I'm hoping he gets a set piece goal or something. Right, Zavarni helped me a couple of weeks back, so he's there from his double week. I think he gave me a 8 pointer, which I was very happy about. And then you have Maguire or Doughty. I'm okay if Doughty comes in. I just hope he gets something. At Sun for me is kindly stands out as a captaincy choice. I have four players from Arsenal City, a match, and all of them attackers. These four attackers, Odegaard, Saka, Foden, Haaland. I don't want to sell either just for this week because I think the fixes after this are where I'll again depend on them. So I'm just hoping to ride this week through, maybe see a good high scoring match, which I don't think will happen, to be honest. I have a feeling it's going to be that low scoring match again, similar to the Emirates one. It has the same 1-0 to 1 kind of a vibe, right, for some team. But good to see because at least in the 1K home fixtures, that's where I'm hoping some money comes in or some points comes in.
But with regards to Arsenal, I think Arteta was not yet clear, but he said that Saka, Gabriel Magalhaes, and Martinelli, I think they didn't train. They didn't train, so he said that they could face City, but we have to wait and see if they're part of the
I'm
task
honestly
at this.
not worried. Knowing Arteta, knowing Pep, these guys keep all their
They'll just
lies
slide.
reserved. They keep all their lies reserved for this matches, right? Last, I think home match, Arteta took Saka in the team bus despite knowing that he'll not play. Right? He did that, right? Just to play those mind games. Last season, Pep said Stones is injured, and then Stones played against us, right? So this week
Against
he
Stones
said
is injured.
against
Stones and
Stones
Walker
injured.
are out.
I'll not be surprised to see both of them in the starting XI for City, right? So that's just how it is. So I'm not. I take it with a pinch of salt, especially for this match.
Let's see, but Pep did say that Walker and Stones are out for some time, is
For
what he
some time,
said.
yeah,
He doesn't know when they'll. I don't know,
but
some time might be short time.
yeah. It might be only for today, right? So you never know.
Anyways, now, okay, this is my team at the moment, and I am most likely going to do Totti to Gusto for this week so that my team is pretty much in a comfortable position for this week. And next week is wherein I will do Watkins and Bailey out to Salah and someone in. Whoever is, I think it might be Muniz, might be the only guy who will fit in, and I just kind of uh, just play until game week 33.
Correct,
That's
correct.
it. That's my plan. I'm just going to live till 33 now. That's it. I think captaincy is pretty much straightforward, right? But the only debate is if you're getting Salah, you might be tempted to captain him to some extent. But I think for me, Sun is more or less the standard option.
Sun is a standard option. Salah is very good fit, but I think Watkins is also there and for a home match. Right, it's just down to your luck. He's a more riskier pick for sure. He's sometimes inconsistent in these matches, in the easier matches, but I think he can haul any match, especially the home games. People who go there might come out, the happiest, right? So especially Watkins, I think, has given such weeks where everyone has left him and gone somewhere else, and people who have captain Watkins have come out really, really happy, right? So I think he's there among the top three captaincy choices for me. You cannot rule out Haaland for sure. While he didn't score away, I think last year he created havoc for us at this same fixture, right? So you never know. Haaland might be Haaland, right? But top four, I think it starts with Son, then Salah for me, Watkins, and then Haaland.
You're talking about Watkins. I just had to go and check when did I get Ollie Watkins in, and I got Ollie Watkins in my team for game week 7 when
Perfect.
he was 7.9. It's incredible to see the amount of price rises he's got, and he's currently, I think, 9. Oh, phenomenal rise. I mean, yeah. Next week is when I'm going to ship him out. I have to get in Salah because next week they play Sheffield, and that game, I think the entire community is going to run towards Salah.
He's obviously not injured, and Haaland, I think, was for a few weeks. But Watkins currently has 187 points, right? So he's on for a 250 pointer kind of a season. Haaland is 154. How do you sell Watkins? Is my question. 187. It's unbelievable. We are just sitting in 29. Gaming 29, right? So how did he reach there? He's having that kind of season. So, I mean, I think we have to now start thinking about Watkins as a possible captaincy choice every week because, especially the home fixtures, right? I think he is there this season at least, and we need to start thinking of him as a premium choice now. uh, if I just look at where these players are, right? So, who scored the maximum points so far this season? Watkins is the leading scorer this season because Saka in the midfield is 178 and Salah is 168. Obviously, Salah has played less games, there's no denying that. But as things stand now, Watkins is the highest scorer of the season so far.
Pretty, I mean, very surprising. But what happens is towards the last leg of the season, you're going to look at double game weeks, bench boost, So
Yeah, yeah.
you're going to play for the chips and build the team. So you're going to get rid of players who don't fall in that bracket. And unfortunately, Watkins is that player because Villa will not have a double game week. And
Yeah, yeah.
probably sort of their fixtures, if you see right up until the end of the season. Now they play Wolves at home in 30, then they play Brentford at home in 32, then they play Bournemouth at home in 34, then they play Crystal Palace away in 38. So these are like the easy games
Two.
because the
And
remaining games
even
they play are
35 is
City,
Chelsea
Arsenal.
home. 35 is Chelsea home. It's not at all bad, right? All of us have went there and lost. 36 is Brighton away. Again, not bad. 37 is Liverpool home. You never know what turns out. Maybe Klopp is, running towards his title challenge, but they have defeated both Arsenal and City at home. And so it's not as bad as it sounds, right? Yeah, it's not that two pointer kind of a game or the two fixture difficulty, two FDR kind of a game. But still, at some point of time, we have to accept, Villa, they are looking to get into a top four spot. They are looking for a Champions League, and maybe it's that season where they're focused on getting towards Champions League. And for them, talisman is Watkins, right? For other clubs, we don't know, right? For example, Liverpool, there are multiple scorers. For Arsenal, there are multiple scorers. For City, yeah, Haaland is the guy, but again, there are multiple scores. For what? For Villa, it's Watkins. Points just flows by Watkins.
Yes. It's going to be interesting to see what much Watkins is going to be priced next season, but that's a
10.5.
different thing. I don't think that will happen. But yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting season so far, and but unfortunately, as I said, right, you have to get rid of him to get the funds, basically fixture play, and That's how it works.
Okay, okay, well, yeah.
Okay, I think with that, if we're done with this episode, let me get this step back. We did get one question regarding wildcard. We did cover it up in between. We even spoke a little bit of the chip strategy, the players to pick, and what did we else talk? And we had a draft as well. So we did cover these things. If you want to check it out, do check it out. Just go back and see the 10 15 minutes back we did speak about it. So with that being said, I think we're done for this particular episode for Game Week 30. Anything you want to add in before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think after a big break, it's good week for us to see how things go. But I think more than us, wildcard 30 guys would be really, really interested to see how the points go. Like all those fixture points that they have taken, uh, especially Salah. If Salah, no Salah, explodes, we will come back next week with a completely different discussion.
No, I mean, like, if he explodes or not, I'm pretty clear. I'm going to get him in next week. So if he explodes, it's fine. It didn't Game Week 30, it didn't go somewhat according to
Hmm.
plan, and it's fine. But we do have Sun, and we're
Yeah,
just going to captain him.
yeah.
So just hope that
For
I
me,
will see out.
yeah, for me, it's something similar. I know if he explodes, I have to sell Sun to get Salah in. Simple as that. And that's the reason I'm saving a transfer this week because I know I have to, take a hit, maybe do a -4, and make 2 3 moves to balance things up. That's the only way I can get it right. So it's
So
Salah to
you're
Sun
going to
and 1 million.
you're going to keep Watkins,
I'm going to keep Watkins is my thought for the next week. For the next week, because
but
I, not for the next week, but for the week after. That's my thought currently. But again, it's a easy choice, like you said. Just selling him off. But I feel like Brentford at home can be. Brentford have just not looked good. I want to sell him in on my wildcard rather than selling him now. But let's see. That it obviously makes things easy. Let's see.
or you could just ship out Odegaard and do something here and there. But I don't know. You decide that.
I can, but next week we are playing Luton at home. Why will I do it? That week, right? It's that conundrum where you sell a player with a good fixture to get a more attractive player, and that player with a good fixture gives you a solid return that you're holding on for like 5 weeks or something. Right? So I want to go through it. So that's the reason I want to sell someone who's not having a great fixture. Let's see. You have to dig in, but that's the reason I'm keeping that extra transfer with me so that I can play around and see if I can get it somewhere.
Okay, all comes down again to team dependent, how well your team is structured. You have to
Yes.
make your moves. So, with that being said, we're done for this episode. Those who are wildcarded in Game Week 30 or are on wildcard, hopefully things go according to plan. Hopefully it goes your way. Those who are not wildcarding, let's hope that the next few weeks go well for us in terms of transfers and we
Yeah.
wildcard whenever we have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's hope for the best. We will be back next week. We'll discuss how Game Week 30 goes or how it went rather and look at 31 and ahead again and see whether some changes are done to the chip strategy or maybe players to pick and all other things. We'll see that all next week. Till then, have a great weekend and we'll see you all next week.
See you guys.